Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics, the show, the podcast. This is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, PTSD, in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And next to me, like always, I have my beautiful co-host, Kia Baker.
Hi, everybody. Well, if you don't know me by now, my name is Kia Baker, and I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, as well as the upcoming video series Women Warrior Stories for the Veterans Channel, and some other cool stuff I have coming up, and success coach at London Real Academy, where our fearless leader, Brian Rose, is running for mayor of London. So if you're in London, vote Brian. How are you,
Ex-
sweetie?
I'm very good, thank you. And what we do in Hot Topics, Kia, we transform, we create, and
Inspire.
inspire. So, how are you today, Kia?
I'm really excited. I am super excited. I've got a lot of things in the works, a lot going on, and I am juggling a lot of tasks, but I'm having fun doing it. Hi,
Hey,
George.
George.
Hi, sweetie. Thanks for
Yeah,
tuning in tonight.
thank you.
How are you? You look pretty.
Thank you, my dear. Hey, Andy, Undi.
Oh, what a nice thing
Hi.
to say. Thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
I'm very good. I feel great. I today I have a communication with my daughter and I have the chance to talk to her and I've been purging in my office, uh, removing like old stuff and becoming like a more lighter and lighter because I want to be a minimalist. So I'm in that process of purging. And it takes time and it takes conscious of what you do, and it's not like that you just go and throw everything that you of your house and that's it. You have to go slow because it's like you need to feel your place and your energy to be able to see whatever is around you is it serve you for some reason or doesn't serve you, so somebody else can have that opportunity to have that is not serving anything for you. So when you do all this, Kia, it feels amazing. What do you think about that?
Well, you know I love it. I have been purging my house. I have an accumulation of crap. Like, seriously,
Yes.
it's
Oh my
ridiculous how much
God.
crap. And I have been purging since before my divorce. And I am still purging. And every time I turn around, there's some more junk, a closet that I totally didn't complete before. So I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have so much stuff in here. Do I need
Yes.
this? Do I love
Yes.
this? Does this still mean anything to me? Does it still bring me joy? Do I need it? Am I ever going to use it again? Does it fit? Those are the things I ask myself every time. And I keep getting rid of more and more stuff. I haven't even started on my garage, and it looks like a storage shed in
Oh
there.
my
It's like
God.
a hoarder's storage shed, to be honest. And I really just want to clear that out because I want to finish the garage, like paint the walls and do the floor and make it sort of like a gym.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Awesome. That's a
hmm
good idea.
Yeah. I like part it's gonna be part gym and part hangout area for my kids. So and storage for like I change my decorations in the house almost for every holiday.
Right.
So I have like stuff for Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and stuff, and I want to have that more organized just in bins, right?
Right,
So I
right.
feel you on this whole purging thing. It is such a process, and if you try to do it all at once, you'll like pass out.
Of course. Oh, no, 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 no. This is like a
Mhm,
little by little, and
mhm.
in the time that you have free. And sometimes it's like last night, I couldn't go to sleep. Like I was 3:30 a.m. already very wired, and I stand up and I work until 3:30. It was like I need to clean this, I need to organize this, and then I went to sleep and I wake up super early, and it's like it was so motivated to clean and to remove that because I knew at the end I was gonna feel better, and because it was giving me a lot of anxiety to see a little bit things here and there, and believe it or not, there's some stuff that it brings you down. So, and we don't know that until we realize and see this stuff, and you say, wow, why I have this, why I buy this. So it's very cool because it's a process for you also to know yourself, and I love this.
That's amazing. You know what it reminds me of? Our episode with Oreo Estelle.
Yes.
With Estelle from which I work with her at London Rail Academy. She teaches every
See who
Tendai.
is here?
What? Hi, honey.
Hey,
We've missed
yes.
you.
I was so worried, Kia, that we lost our house in Texas now. Now we have our house in Texas.
Hi, sweetie. It's so good to see you. I know that you must have been busy or you would have not missed one episode. So shout
Exactly.
out to our number one. You know, you have competition. I mean, George, he's every episode these days.
George
Step up your game.
right away jump on it like boom. It's like
He's like, I got an opening. You better step up your game, honey. All right. Hey, and where's your friend at? I thought he was gonna turn up. Anyway,
Eramus. Where's
yeah, we liked him,
Eramus? What the
right? Where
heck,
is that guy?
Eramus? I was counting in Eramus like and share all the time.
Speaking of liking and sharing, we should shout out to everyone who's been liking and sharing our episodes and
Yes.
sending us all of these wonderful messages. The emoji ones are my favorite because they're so cute. So thank you for all the flowers, the hearts, the happy faces, the fire emojis. Like all of those, I love that. And even if you write to us in your native language, and even though we are not multilingual with every language, since this is a global show, we will do our best to translate it and try to write back to you if we can. Just recognize that sometimes translate is a little off. So we'll do our best, okay? But we appreciate you.
Kia, today I received one of those pictures that you received last time. I said, "Oh my God,
No, you didn't. Did
I
you
almost
get a
have
dick
a heart
pic?
attack."
Did you get a dick pic? Dudes, stop sending those.
What is
Girls do
this?
PSA. Girls do not want to see your penis if we didn't ask.
Please.
It's like an attack. It's like an assault
Ex-
via technology.
you know,
Okay?
I like surprises, but not that kind of
No, I
surprises.
love surprises, but that's not the surprise I
No.
want to wake up to. Okay, so, disclaimer, if you are
Yes.
not 18 years old, you should click off now. And if strong language and sensitive subject matter is offensive to you, you should also click off now. Um, because today's episode is spicy, honey. It is spicy.
Eh,
So if these kinds of things offend your delicate sensibilities, you will want to click off now. Click the fuck off. Okay. So now, now, the opinions of our guests do not always reflect our own, but I'm a veteran, so I will fight clearly for their right to have them. So
correctly.
that's right.
Exactly.
And we
I
don't have to agree, but we
no.
still gonna be kind to each other, right, Gloria?
Yes, I think that yellow color on you, it looks so beautiful, and I think it's kind of like I'm making you fire.
It's all those fire emojis I'm getting from our fans and our direct message for our Hot Topics page.
You are the emoji like this with the lips like this.
You know what? People would think that we have been smoking weed, but we haven't. But today, we're going to talk about smoking weed.
Yes.
So, if you have never smoked before and you're curious, this is the episode for you.
Kia,
If
Kia, let's stop right now. I know you're gonna say a lot of stuff, but we're gonna be close to 9:21. So I want you to tell everybody what
who
is
the guest is,
9:21, and we're gonna bring the guest now, so we gotta share with her.
okay, April is coming. She's from How to Do the Pot. She teaches women how to smoke pot and where to begin. And here she is.
Here she is.
She is an entrepreneur. She's a mother. She is a successful, strong, brilliant woman. And we are so honored to have her here.
Thank you so much, the two of you, for including me in all this fun. I don't want to talk too much because it's going to be 9:21, but I'm really happy.
Yes. So Kia, let's explain a little bit why we're gonna have a shot at 9:21 today.
Okay, so
At 9:21.
Here we go. It's a palindrome. It's a special set of numbers, and we're gonna celebrate.
Just to be here today. Cheers for all the
Cheers.
world. Cheers for you.
A votre sante.
Chin chin. Damn. I'm going to be sipping mine the whole time. That's amazing.
I just did a shot. I just thought a little bit, but damn. All right, Gloria.
Now I think
it's one of those kind of nights. So
funny.
The reason we just did this shot, right, is because it's 21:21. It's 9:21. And on the East Coast. So it's a palindrome and it's a special set of numbers. So set your intentions.
Century 21, year 21, and today is 21.
So 21, 21, 21. So my advice to you as a very magical girl is to get your journals out and write down your intentions for your success, what you want in love, life, and happiness, and write those down before you go to bed tonight and meditate on that and visualize a beautiful, happy future for yourself because it is a special set of numbers. And if you don't understand numerology, Google it.
Yeah. So April Pride, how are you?
Well, I'm better after I took a nice swig of that tequila. So thanks for giving me an excuse and to not drink alone.
We are so happy to have you tonight. I can't wait to hear all the stuff that you're going to say. And welcome to Hot Topics.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get to it. Let's talk about weed.
Can you tell everybody where's your location and what time is now?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in Seattle, Washington. So I'm 3 hours north of Kia, actually. She's down in Vancouver. And so it's 6:23 on the west coast of the States. Yeah, right now.
Awesome. So let's start. Let's start.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
There you go.
So hopefully this will help anyone who's curious and wants to know more. Okay, your podcast, How to Do the Pot. What gave you that idea? Like, how did you come to the idea to help women learn how to get familiar?
So How to Do the Pot is the podcast for my second brand in the cannabis space for women. It's called The High Guide. And my first brand was Vanderpop, which I launched in January 2016 and sold the next year to a Canadian company. And ultimately Vanderpop was sold to Canopy Growth, which was the largest cannabis company in the world, which is the largest cannabis company in the world. So I've been working in weed for about 5 years. And the one thing I wanted to do was to continue to educate women. I still don't feel like we're in a place where women are 100% ready to go out and buy what they've been told. They don't know what to buy to help them achieve what they've been told weed can help them do, right? So we're still educating our consumer. So a podcast allowed me to talk to the women in Canada, right, who I had worked with for 2 years. I traveled all across Canada speaking to women under my previous brand. And it also solves a lot of marketing problems for weed companies because digital advertising just really isn't available to us. And so with audio, you can say anything and cannabis brands can advertise on audio as well. So it solved some business problems. It solved some personal problems because I didn't want to travel as much anymore with a young family. And it allowed us to really focus on the content and what I'm trying to say versus telling a woman that she needed a product that I really knew she didn't really know how to use, right? So I think making sure that women know what to do with weed before we send them off to have the worst experience of their life because they didn't know what they were doing Yeah, it's responsible usage, and I want to be a part of that, part of the conversation and the industry.
Well, that's amazing. So, so let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
What made you get involved in the pot industry in the first place?
So I'm a designer by training. I went to architecture school and I designed products. So Vanderpop was a product company, accessories company. I designed products to store, smoke, and share cannabis. So stash jars and stash bags with big bank locks and multi-tools, papers, all of that. And what I found very soon after launch was that women, everything looked really beautiful. It matched all the products that they had on their vanity or in their closet, much more so than what they had been using from head shops, but they still had questions about flower. And so that's why we turned to really be more of an education platform. But prior to that, I'd been in interior design, an interior designer, designed products in that industry. And the brand that I had, the company before I launched my first weed company, a client from that company started working in the industry. And she worked for a prominent VC, CEO of a prominent VC. She's an executive assistant. And she said, I see all the decks, I see all the deals, I see everything. And no one's doing anything for women. No one's doing anything that really looks good. And as a creative, I mean, I know you don't want me to say this because I'm only supposed to say all the great things that happen, but creatives sometimes have a difficult time figuring out how to make money doing what they love, right? To be financially rewarded for your
Yes.
creativity. And I thought that people like me would be all over this, right? There are no rules, but then there are rules, so you get to break them. It just was a sort of it's perfect for someone like me, right? I didn't feel like I belonged in fashion or interiors, but weed is a bunch of outsiders, and it's proven to be the perfect industry for me. And I get to make a difference. I do feel like I make a difference. I hear from women who have said yes to pot, and it's worked out. So here we are, once you see this plant change your own life and the lives of people that you love and know and don't know, I'm committed, right? Just as you are to female veterans.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So, can you share with us some of the stories of how you've seen pot change people's lives? Because I know a lot of people just will go like, "Oh, pot," like
Yeah.
whatever, but they don't realize what an impact it can have.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that I think we have to start with is you don't just smoke weed, right? So there are so many people who are open to consumption but have never been a smoker. So they're very confused, like, how am I supposed to do this? Oh, well, I had an edible once in college and I just lost my shit and I will never touch it again. So now what do I do? Then there was Vapegate. So vaporizing cannabis oil became scary for a while. I hope that consumers are feeling more confident because if you go into a dispensary, it's tested product. So I think the one thing to make sure is that people know you don't have to smoke it. And that leads to all these other form factors that originally really have been invented by women for women to help solve physical conditions that the healthcare industry just hasn't helped them with. A lot of pelvic pain issues, so endometriosis, using suppositories with either just CBD or with also THC to help with pelvic pain around your period or for painful sex. Those are quality of life issues that prescriptions can take you down for a day or two, or they just get in the way of the rest of your life. In cannabis, you can say yes to solving your pain problem without, just kind of checking out for your period, or to be able to have sex and not be under the influence of some kind of narcotic too, I think is preferable. So a lot of pelvic pain issues, but right now I would say the number one reason women are using weed is for stress and anxiety related to the pandemic. That is what we hear,
totally.
a lot about. So what women are really open to vaporizing. It's a short high. It's fast hitting, like as if you did smoke it. So it's not like edibles, which kind of creeps up on you and can take an hour or so. And you're like, am I high yet? I don't know. So a lot of women are choosing to vape before bed to make sure they get a good night of sleep so they can manage their stress the next day. or having tea, right? There's cannabis infused tea, or there's cannabis infused sugar or honey that you can add to your tea. So managing stress and sleep, I think, goes along with that too. And pain, those are the top topics, hot topics that we discuss on the show and that we really hear about from women.
So I have a question for you, April. So when a woman or a man goes to you and look for you, what exactly do you get the most? What kind of clientele you get the most?
So we really, I mean, all of our messaging, in fact, okay, so my first company, Vanderpop, was not specific to a gender. It was about the great looking products that we had. And about 6 weeks after we launched, my husband came home and he said, I got your newsletter. It's not speaking to me, like you really are talking to women. And I know you think it's about the way the products look and that appeals to anybody, but what you're saying is really specific to women. And he was right. That's what I feel now. I feel natural talking to women. I grew up with single mom and aunties and the whole thing. So that was easy for me. And then when you really start to understand how the plant works with a woman's body specifically, and again, going through some of the ways in which it just transforms your quality of life for the first time since maybe you started your cycle, right? Then you think, God, someone needs to be speaking on behalf of us to make sure that the products that we need are coming to market and are being developed correctly and that we actually want to use and know how to use. So shifting and really focusing on women, I think it was a happy accident. It clearly was my calling. So more women or husbands who heard that weed was good for sex and they want to know more about weed lube and they want to know how to talk to their wife about it because she doesn't smoke. So those are, there
That's
are
awesome.
great partners out there that want to help their wife achieve, I don't know, optimal orgasm, whatever the case it may be.
The
Um,
climax, whatever, yeah.
yeah, but usually it's women that come to us, and really they come in confidence. I mean, a lot of the conditions that cannabis can help with, there's shame around it. Whether it's smoking while you're pregnant, that's a topic that I definitely get whispered and DMs. That's not something that people really talk about in public as much, but the numbers show that younger and younger women who are pregnant, the younger they are, the more they're smoking while they're pregnant or consuming weed of some kind. So I think that topic is really important because based on how cannabis has been used since ancient times, it's been used during pregnancy, but the plant that we have access to today is Frankenstein compared to what was occurring naturally, right? We've got like 5 times the amount of THC than God intended, as compared to what God intended. And so I think if you consume small amounts of THC while you're pregnant, it probably isn't going to be as harmful as it is if you just go to the dispensary and pick up the 20+% THC that's typically available. So, yeah.
So I imagine there's a huge stigma around that. And there's still such a huge stigma since all the whole reefer madness days of the 1930s that's carried over and then it being classified the same as major drugs, right? So I imagine you're confronted with people that have opinions about the stigma and still see it as something of a negative. How do you deal with that when you come across those people?
Well, I live in a bubble. So most of the people that I talk to come to me because they either have a relationship with the plant and no one knows about it and they need someone to talk to, or they're curious about having one and they don't know who to go to. I don't get a lot of negative talk, but I'm also not like trolling and trying to find it and seeing if people have an opinion about me. I just don't really care. But I do think that most women do. And I have at times forgotten that and been more open about my consumption around people who are not and in mixed company and forgotten that I should be more discreet. Like I make mistakes too. So it's always good to be reminded that not everyone is where you are in terms of how open you want to be about your consumption. And so just assume that nobody knows anything about what other people are up to, right? Bottom line. So the stigma, I think, has decreased as legalization has really taken hold in the US. I mean, look what happened during the election this year. Every single state where there was a cannabis initiative on the ballot, it passed. So it's the one unifying topic in this country. And I think a lot of that is driven by women because we just haven't been served by healthcare. There are 26 FDA approved drugs for men's sexual health, and there's one for women, and it doesn't really work. So, what are we going to do? The people making decisions about our health have not been women. Women haven't been in positions of power to ensure that our health care is being taken care of. And so this is a tool that allows us to like make sure that our shit's taken care of, and we don't have to go and ask anyone for permission. We just need to make sure that all these women, these 80 plus million women who now have legal access to cannabis as of this last election, can go and like use it properly so that they don't have bad experiences. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to go back to what I was doing that wasn't really working. So yeah, I mean, stigma is real, but as soon as you have a good experience, then you become an advocate, right? You become someone who is I don't have to speak, right? You share your story, your testimonial, and that does everything. And what we've found, I mean, I've talked to so many women, and the one thing that I can tell you is if you're a person that wasn't consuming recreationally, you found cannabis because it was the last resort when you had tried everything for yourself or someone you loved, and it was the first thing that did actually work. And once you have a life-changing experience with weed, you know, it's going to be really hard to convince you that this is bad, right?
Exactly.
So,
For sure. I mean, I know seniors who have experienced marijuana for the first time and have had like life-changing experiences with it. I've met people from all walks of life, veterans who are suffering from chronic pain, from PTSD, from anxiety and depression, who have found relief from it. Fibromyalgia sufferers often find relief from it. I don't know very many people, to be honest with you, that have had an experience with it that was positive from their first time and said, "Oh no, this is not for me. This is bad." Like there's so many variations, right? There's, like you said, there's edibles, there's lubes, there's oils, there's creams for pain, there's so much out there right now, since it's been incrementally legalized per state, that there's so many options that I can foresee that the stigma being so minimal in the very near future.
yeah.
Right. And I also think that just as when they repealed prohibition for alcohol, and it essentially played a huge part in the recovery of the United States from the Depression, that this could really help the country on an economic level if they decriminalized and legalized throughout the United States nationally.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is so beautiful and necessary because it has the potential to help so many women with so many different health issues to just lead a better quality of life. And like my love Gloria always says, to help them feel better.
And also, we cannot forget about the social cultural from the women is coming from. For example, from the Latino culture in Colombia, the cannabis is like in my time. Like if you consume cannabis in my time, was like, oh my God, you're like addictive. That was bad. Oh my God, they're gonna fry your brain. You're not gonna be intelligent. And I remember, oh, be careful with those people who smoke,
Yeah.
marijuana. They're very bad. It was that. It was that. And a lot of people was doing in secret, like behind doors, because if they found, and people, they found that you smoke cannabis, it's like a wow, or like the bad person. And I saw that because in my family we have one person that smoked cannabis at a very young age, and we went through that. Like, oh my God, my mom almost was like terrified. Like, oh my God, this is so bad. Like, it was like terrible that that thing happens in my family. So it's also very important to see the social part and the culture part, because in some places it's still a big chunk of concern about that plant
Yeah, and
and religious.
religious people who are very into their religion. There's a lot of teachings that say that it's bad. So that's all wrapped in the stigma, right? That goes
Exactly.
back to like, I think the reefer madness days. Ooh, the people who smoke pot, and ooh, it's so bad because
Yes.
that's what they were educated generations ago. What do you think,
Exactly.
April?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all have to be deprogrammed and reprogrammed, right? I mean, what you're talking about is so black and white. And with all of the different ways to consume in different, in terms of form factors and dosing is so predictable now. You can start with 2.5 milligrams. You don't have to start with the blunt passed you at the party after you've already had a lot to drink. There's a way different way to do this. And so one of the things I always tell my kids, I'm like, and they're 10 and 14, but we're already talking about this for sure, is get high on your own supply. Like, don't smoke someone else's stuff. You don't know what it is, not because it's going to like hurt you or it's tainted, but it could be. So know that. And I can tell you a story about that. That's not very happy, but because you know what's going to work for you. Not every strain is the same. Right. And so if you find something that works for you for this particular activity or for this mood or whatever the case may be, just take care of yourself. Right. Like you don't go and take someone else's pharmaceuticals. You're not supposed to. Take what you know works for you. So I think once people find the right strain for themselves, which I know my friends are sick of hearing about, once you find that, you'll know. And the idea of prohibition, so well, everything around reefer madness, that was all political and it's all bullshit. And it's all
Yes.
been,
Yes.
yeah, it's all been de oh God, now I drink tequila and I can't.
Debunked.
Thank you. Yes.
I
So,
got you, girl.
so there was something that was interesting that in Ken Burns' documentary about alcohol that came up about prohibition, and that was in the first 2 years after prohibition ended. There were 15,000 fetal deaths because of fetal alcohol syndrome, because no one bothered to tell women that they shouldn't drink while they were pregnant. So like at the beginning of this conversation, when I was talking about pregnancy, like just have the dialogue so people know that, there may be a different way to do it, or there may be a safer way to do it. It's not about not doing it. It's about harm reduction. Just do it in a way that is going to cause the least amount of harm for you and the people that you love. So if consuming cannabis gets a better outcome because there's a better you than the prescription pills that you've been given to deal with your pain, you make that choice for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to say no to everything. So I do think that there is a lot in terms of all of the breaking down the war on drugs and the campaigns that I grew up with. Kia and I know we're probably all around the same age, right? So in the 80s, Gloria, I don't know if you grew up in the US, but it was just say no, and this is your brain on drugs, and it's frying, and it's an egg. And
Yeah.
it's obviously a lot more complicated than
I
that.
learned it from watching you, right? That was
Yes.
another one. I
Yes.
remember all of those. In fact, funny you should bring that up. So in my private school that I went to in Hershey, they sent in a film crew, and I was actually in a couple of PSA videos, one about HIV/AIDS and another one about just saying no. And
Mhm.
I was all in on Nancy Reagan as
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid, and
Me too.
completely straight edge. And I did not explore marijuana until my 20s,
Mhm.
actually. And actually until after I got sick, in the military. So nothing was working for me. So I had to find something to work for me. And it was actually a dangerous thing for me to do. But I had to somehow manage my pain. And no one had medical answers for me, not for a long time anyway. But it did really help me. So I see that Tende has a question. I'm going to throw
Yes.
this one to you, April.
Okay, so I really like this question because up until very recently, I would say no, it's not physically addictive, and it's not. There are not withdrawal symptoms. Unfortunately, that's not Totally true. So one thing you need to know is when you consume weed, you are getting a dopamine hit, and that is addictive. Just like checking your text, just like going on social media, whatever it is, you're getting a hit and that feels good and you want more of that. So it is physically addictive in that sense. And then it is habit forming. So there are certain things that you do in your life that you associate with being high and doing those things. Whether it's at 9 p.m. when my kids go to sleep, I get high and I watch a movie or I finish my work, but that's just what I do. And if you take a night off of doing that, it takes a while before you're not thinking about, this is what I do at 9 o'clock and I'm not doing this tonight. I kind of want to do that, right? It is something that you have to conquer mentally, right? And then the other part of this is there is a study that just came out that said that if you are a regular consumer and you stop consuming, that there is increased anxiety and I can speak to that personally because during the pandemic, I've had periods where I don't consume and I didn't think I was an anxious person. And then when I stopped consuming cannabis, I'm like, Jesus, I have some low level stuff going on here that I have luckily been able to mask with weed for a long time because it just kind of gets in my way. I'm anxious about stuff I can't do anything about anyway. So there are some withdrawal symptoms. And if you're already prone to anxiety and you don't want that heightened, you should just take care and drink more water and sleep more and meditate those weeks or whatever the case may be. But if you talk to there is a doctor that we talk to frequently, and she might argue with me about the physical addiction, but those I think are valid points. Yeah.
Also, I think too, if you have anxiety before you smoke weed and you find relief from smoking weed and then you decide to stop smoking weed, you are going to experience anxiety again. So that is something that you have to be aware of, or pain again, or all of that. And I think I would also say that every person is different because there are some people that can kick things and not have any issues. So if you're luckily one of those people, then probably you wouldn't have any problem if you had, tried an edible or you had, a little smoke one day, Tendai, and just to try it out. And then probably after that one time, you could decide whether you wanted to smoke again or not, or vape again, or eat an edible again. And after that one time, you would not suddenly be like a heroin addict, is my point.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We're talking
Very
about
good point.
Done it
Yes.
for a really long time and you've gotten comfortable with it. Now, also, I love this point that you made, April, because the dopamine hits. Now, the dopamine you will get from marijuana is exactly like what you get from social media. So if you cannot get off Instagram or Twitter or all of that stuff, you are probably more addicted to that than you've ever been to weed. Okay. But if you suddenly start smoking weed, you may become very cool with doing all of those things and probably smoking the weed while you do those things and having a wonderful time. But that's up to you. Everyone's.
I would say Tendai, like everybody say, location, location, location. In this case, I would say education, education, education.
Both of those things. Educate yourself and pick a safe and comfortable place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And setting. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, so yes, it is. There are some things about it that you have to take care in terms of it. You have to understand where you are with substances. Like I know that I have to really take care. I have an addictive personality. It's in our family, all of it. In fact, I did not consume cannabis. Really, I never had my own stash until I was 40 when it became legal in Washington state, because I grew up in a family where it was around and I didn't feel like it was leading to good outcomes. And so I just stayed away from it for a long time. And I believe Nancy Reagan, right? It's for losers, and unfortunately I'm related to some of those losers and I love them a lot. It was very confusing and I'm happy to have shed those feelings about people who I think were just doing the best they could. Right. So, and it could have been a lot worse. But one of the things that has come out is Okay, for opioids, let's talk about addiction for just a second. So for opioids, after 2 weeks, there's a threshold, there's a certain dosage. And once you pass once you pass 2 weeks at that threshold, that dosage, you are forever addicted. Your brain is changed forever and your body needs it for the rest of your life. But they have started doing research, and research has shown that after 8 days, when you introduce cannabis, within that, from 8 days to 14 days, you can reduce your dosage by 50%, your opioid dosage by 50%, which means that you can stay on that dosage as long as your pain is there and you're also dosing with cannabis for as long as you need it, and you're not going to become physically addictive. So they're using CBD more in substance use disorder cases. That's been found to be very, very helpful as people are trying to come off of other substances. So it is something you have to take care of, but it also has proven to be a godsend for people that are having trouble with substances that have completely decimated their lives.
I mean, here too, it's a big deal because in our area in the Pacific Northwest, the opioid crisis is really bad. So it's amazing to know that.
Yeah, that, and there was something else I was going to say about the physical addiction. I'll think of it in just a second. I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry.
All good. What do you think, Gloria?
That's very awesome because, like I said in the beginning, education. We need education. People need to be educated about this and see that this is good for you or not. Not doesn't mean that we talk about this. Doesn't mean everybody is good for that. And I like that you have that you educate people. Even I probably think there's a lot of people smoking for a long time and they don't know how to smoke and they don't know what they're smoking and they don't know anything about it. So it would be very cool to have a meeting with you and to have all this information about how to start, what is the safe way, what are the things that you're gonna have, and give this information for people to feel secure to do stuff.
Well, we can do that right now. So, I mean, there are simple ways to start. One, topically, start topically. Do you have sore joints, sore muscles? Get a CBD topical that can be shipped directly to your home that has no THC in it. And I assure you, you will be amazed at how much better you feel. And then you go, okay, we call CBD the gateway, okay, well, that kind of works. I feel better. Or maybe I'll try a CBD gummy and I'll actually swallow it and I'll take it and I'll see if it chills me out. Okay, well, that was nice. What's this THC thing all about? All right, well, once you get there, that's real cannabis. And so CBD is also psychoactive. You do have, but it's not inebriating. That's the difference. So 2.5.
Can you explain a little bit that more simple so people will understand that?
Yeah, inebriation is when you feel high, you feel drunk, you have an altered state that you are experiencing and aware of. That's how I would think of it. And then psychoactive means that there are physiological changes in your brain and your body as a result of this compound, this cannabinoid, CBD. That does happen. It can make you feel more relaxed. It can take your anxiety away. There's psychoactivity happening. You just don't have an altered state because of it. So that's why CBD is available for purchase and can ship everywhere. But THC, this one compound, is the devil because it gets you high. Yeah. So starting with 2.5 milligrams of THC, it's pretty much the lowest dosage that you can walk into a dispensary and find. Sometimes there's 2 milligrams. I would start there. The favorite dose of everybody ever is a 1-to-1. Equal parts CBD to equal parts THC. There is not a person on the planet that I have talked to that has not said that is their favorite high. And I mean, from people who consume all the time and are like, oh, I didn't know that I only had to smoke, or that I didn't have to smoke 25% THC all the time to feel great. And what they're finding is really lowering your doses of THC and upping your doses of CBD just gives you a more sustainable dose, and you can consume more frequently for longer periods of time. And yeah, it's physically, it's better for you. So, but we need a lot more research to be able to to prove some of the anecdotal evidence that I feel like I hear a lot. But the one-to-one is great. And you can get that in a tincture form. If you don't want to, eat chocolate or gummy. Tendai, you look like you were working out in your videos, so you probably don't want to go around eating a bunch of sweets after you spent time in the gym, right? So there are healthier ways to consume, not just sweets or smoking. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, I remember that when I first moved here from Miami, I was having a lot of fibromyalgia pain, but I had been determined to kick off of all of the meds that I was on from the VA, right? I was just miserable and I was sick and I was bloated and I was just like so feeling unhealthy. And I was like, I'm going to get off of all of this. And I remember before I had my kids that marijuana would take my pain away perfectly. So I thought, well, I'm going to try a CBD and I'm going to get a tincture because I don't want to have a bunch of sweets, just like you said. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience for me because it helps me actually to be better. So I would take it when my kids were sleeping, right? But the interesting thing that I found, and I had a baby at the time, like my baby was like 1. So the interesting thing I found from having this experience was that it made me more effective as a parent during the day. So even though I took this at night once my kids were asleep, it reduced my pain in such a way that I could be more active. And from that point, I thought, you know what? This is so good for so many people, for veterans. And it's why when I do the Female Veterans podcast and I have guests come on to talk about alternative therapies, this is one that I always promote myself. And I always say this disclaimer as well, and I'll say it right now. Do the research. Don't take our word for it, even though April is an expert. But do not take our word for it. Go out and Google it. Get books, go to the library, do some research on your own, educate yourself, because this is the thing. Chronic pain is a killer.
Yeah.
Chronic pain is a killer. People get so tired of living in misery that they just want it to end.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to the stigma of this and your loved one's life, it's worth looking into it. And that's what I always say.
And also we need to do another disclaimer that not in all the states of the United States is legal. For example,
Right,
in Florida, recreation is not legal, only medicinal. That's it.
Yeah, so check the laws in your state.
Yes.
Yeah. CBD, hemp-derived CBD, is available in all 50 states and can ship to all 50 states. And there's so many conditions that people think that they need to walk into a dispensary and get THC, get weed, and CBD that you can get. I mean, you can get Charlotte's Web at a Walgreens or a CVS. You can get Sagely, which is a woman-founded brand that we love, at Walgreens and CVS around the country. Amazing topical products. They'll change.
Where they can find that in CVS?
Yes. Sagely, yeah, they have distribution at CVS and I think Walgreens, because Rite Aid, one of those are affiliated. Both, but they're available at all of those drugstores.
That would be
across the US.
That would be very cool to put that information so people that have CVS and the Walgreens right there and have a lot of pain, they can go and buy that and put it and try it.
Sagely Naturals. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a great product for sure. Yeah.
That's amazing, and it's a beautiful thing that you help women. I just keep thinking about women who have pelvic pain and they're not unable to enjoy intimacy, right? And how kind and considerate it is for their husbands to go and research this and find this information out in order to help them. That's like really, really beautiful.
Someone broke it down for me, women don't want to walk into a pot shop and ask for weed lube, sex lube. Like all of those things are already probably difficult for them to even say out loud. I mean, we are in a Puritan society. This is like, not all of us are millennials and Gen Z and like, living freely from day one.
Or Gen
So
Xers that inspired them.
that's right. Leading the way. So I think that if men understood, I don't suffer from some of the pain that I've heard about from so many women. I didn't even realize that intimacy was just something that women couldn't achieve because of their pain. And once you hear that and you understand that and you start to look at your own life and all the other challenges around intimacy, but you don't have a physical issue, I mean, one, you feel super grateful. But if you have a solution to help change a woman's life and her relationships, like, yeah, I mean, I was actually talking to this grower. His name is Mario Guzman, and he's Sherbinsky. That's his growers. That's his DJ name, right? Like, as we like to say. And so he is known for hunting phenotypes, like strains that end up being amazing for sex, like gelato. He's the cookies guy. He helped develop cookies, Girl Scout cookies. And I was like, listen, I mean, when a woman asks me for a product recommendation or, what do I think about whatever so she can have better sex with her husband or whatever the case may be, I feel like I'm, kind of a hero for the day. I feel really good that I was able to help somebody, but I didn't fucking grow the thing. Like, I did not. What is that like to be the man that changes women's sexuality? Like, that is insane. He's a very relaxed person. He's just like, I don't know how that happens. But now he's fully committed. He's got a strain called Pink Panties, and he's doing an entire line of products around, which was named by a woman named Maya, who has been in the cannabis industry for decades and is Whoopi and Maya, which is a very famous product that's out of California. So she named it, just so you know, it was named something much worse before. So she named it something more acceptable because I was like, I don't know how I feel about this name. Can you tell me how this name came about? And when he said that Maya named it, I was like, all right, that works. But yeah, I mean, to be the person that actually breeds the strain that has this positive impact is incredible. Yeah.
So we have 51 minutes already.
Oh, great.
I have a question. I know the time is just flies by every time. I know we're going to wrap at an hour and 11 minutes. So I have time for this question.
Yes.
Okay. So not only do you help women and educate them on how to get comfortable and familiar with doing the pot, you have another show called Saturday Strains. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So Saturday Strains is a series that's on how to do the pot. And, to be honest with you, Gloria and Kia, it was just such a fun idea. And I had to do it because I'm sitting here. This is a curtain. This is my booth in my garage. So before, when the show started, you were talking about transforming your garage, and I've got one corner that's got my little exercise mat. I have a sofa. And then I've got my, so hanging out in my garage by myself for the last year, I was like, you know what? I need an excuse to smoke weed. I just do it, but I need a reason to. I need to look for certain strains and to know what I want to get out of them, and then figure out if it does that for me, and then write it down and have a process around consuming versus just that's what I do. So Saturday Strains was really to give me purpose, and I'm good with rules. I needed some rules around my consumption. I was questioning the quantity there for a little bit, and so Saturday Strains came out of that. Like, people want to know. All anyone asks me is, what do I buy? Just what do I buy? All this education part, they just want to do it wrong and then come back to me and tell me how it didn't work, but they don't want to take the time. They just want me to tell them what to get. So I just thought we'd start with strains that every woman should have in her stash. So it's 12 essential strains. And we start with the least intoxicating or inebriating. And so ACDC is nearly all CBD, like 13% CBD, 1% less than that THC. So we start there. And then our next strain is a 1-to-1 Harlequin. And we go all the way through, and I'll tell you what the last most potent strain is, since we've already done the series, and that's Girl Scout cookies, actually. And listen, it's not the Bible. It's a place to start, right? So there are hundreds of phenotypes, and the strain that you get in Florida and the strain of Girl Scout cookies and the strain that I get here, depending on the grower and what their original genetics, it's not the same, actually. There was recently this guy, Ethan Russo, who's a doctor and is beloved in the cannabis community. He tested like 350 cannabis products, and they all had 3 labs. Like the chemistry, the chemical makeup of the 350 all came back to 3 types of between cannabinoids and terpenes. So a lot of the stuff that's out there is actually pretty similar, frankly. So I think people just need a name, so when they walk in the dispensary, they don't have to look at this menu and try to guess. So if you start with these 12, when you go into a dispensary and you ask for it and they don't have it, there are alternatives, which we do offer, and a bud tender can help you with. But I mean, you can go really wrong if you don't have a place to start. And that's what this strain list is. It's a place to start. But the two of you, we've talked about having the answer straight away. No, it's a trial and error. There's a process here. You're going to have to try a lot of different products, a lot of different strains, and modes of consumption. I actually don't really love oil. I feel scattered when I smoke, when I vape oil. It's not a good clear high for me. If I want to try and get work done, I can get a little too, whatever it is. It feels like I'm almost shaky. I don't know why. So oil's not great for me, but flower sends some people over the top, right? So you're just going to have to figure out what works for you. And everything that we provide on the show and on our website at dothepot.com it's a starting place. And this is a journey. So be patient with yourself, be patient with us, because what we tell you should do, it may be 80%. You may be 80% there. There's going to be a little homework that you have to do yourself.
This is awesome.
I knew you were going to love this, Gloria.
So where people can find you?
So dothepot.com is our website. And wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us at How to Do the Pot. How to Do the Pot. And the name of my brand is The High Guide, but Do the Pot and How to Do the Pot is really what you should know about. And I'm April Pride. You can find me on Instagram at April Pride.
Oh, honey, I got to say that this has been really, really cool. I hope that a lot of people receive this message in a positive way and find it useful, because there's so much to know. And I'm telling you, weed is becoming legal. It's going to keep moving forward, and it's going to become more and more acceptable. So if you've been curious, why wait?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're welcome, Tendai. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very nice to have an alternative to alcohol. I like to have a really good time. Alcohol is really not something that I should say yes to most of the time. So cannabis has really allowed me to continue to be a social person to manage social anxiety, and, not have to kiss the next day goodbye, right? Or for the most part, no alcohol except for tequila works for me. I always feel bad. So there are alternatives to whatever you may be doing recreationally, right? That is just a little softer, gentler, and allows you to have a more balanced life, really.
And I love, one of the things about this that I love too, is that it's so scientific. Like, this is not the old days where you're like meeting some guy in a parking lot or wherever you were doing that. Mm-hmm. This is like, at least where we live in California on the West Coast, and in a lot of places around the country, you will see this occurring more and more, these dispensaries, and they're really well educated, and you can go in there and you can learn a lot from the bud tenders. And there's so much science, real science backing this up, right? That you just can feel a lot more comfortable with what you're consuming and figuring out what works for you. And like you said, the trial and error, because that's necessary in order to find the right thing for you and to really maximize your enjoyment.
Yeah. Low
So,
dosage, take it slow,
so
take your time.
in simple words for simple people, if you want to start educating yourself about cannabis, and if you want to know how, if you want to smoke it, if you how you want to eat it, whatever, April is there for you to guide you and to educate you and not to force you, just to educate you to see another alternatives in a holistic way, because this is holistic to make you feel better. That's all. And I think this is a very cool topic.
Thanks, Gloria. Yeah.
Well, my dear, it has been such an honor to have you on Hot Topics Live. And I have had so much fun getting to pick your brain and learn from you more and more and more. What do you think, Gloria?
This is awesome, and I think we should bring more, more shows like this to educate more people that people need it. There's some people that don't need it, and some people are not
Right.
okay with it. But for people
Cool.
who need it and looking for a holistic way to feel better, we should bring more times April to the show, so
Okay.
people feel more familiar of what we're talking about it.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that way, if anyone has any questions, you can send them to our DMs and we'll
Right.
compile them for April and bring her back, and then she can answer them live on the show for you.
Cool.
Hey,
Anytime.
Joe Casal. Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Already
John.
legal in
Legal in
Canada.
Canada. Yep. So you see, this is not just in the United States. This is gonna be big.
In
So get
Florida,
prepared.
no. Florida, no.
Don't
We
worry,
are.
honey. It'll come.
It's
It'll
okay.
happen.
It's okay.
Give it some time.
I'm waiting patiently.
When your
Yeah.
government realizes how much money they can make in taxes, they'll legalize.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, there's I know some of the entities that are in Florida, and they are spending a lot of money on to make sure that it becomes adult use legal there for sure.
Mhm.
Texas, there was just an article about Texas is not, they're going to be really slow to adopt legalization. I would not count on it. You're going to need to go to Oklahoma, which is selling a ton of weed to people from Texas and Arkansas. Yes.
Mhm. There
Yeah.
you go. So there you go, Tendai. It looks like a little vacation, a guy's getaway.
Yeah.
Good night,
Is in
George.
order. Good night, George. Thanks for tuning in, honey. And April, thank you again for coming. We appreciate you so much. As Gloria usually says, we're going to put you in the green room. And if you have time to wait for us, we'll meet you there as soon as we wrap.
Oh, wait.
If not, we understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
honey.
wait. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me. Thanks for the audience for tuning in.
Thank you, April. It was an honor to have you tonight. Thank you for your time. Wow, that was freaking awesome.
She's great.
Out of the box. This is a topic out of the box.
I know. Well, so I don't judge anyone
No.
and I respect everyone's beliefs. However, I'm super open minded. I don't really believe much of anything, but I'm open to everything for the most part. And when I come across something or someone who seems so beneficial to so many people, you know, no one has to know your life, right? You tune
Right.
into Hot Topics and you watch this episode, no one has to know. And then you can go do your thing and get your cannabis and have your experience, and none's the wiser. So if that's you, all good. Or if you're loud and proud, all good. But this episode was to help people in their journey to feel better. And I absolutely love that you reminded everyone that this is holistic, because it
Yes.
is.
Completely holistic. And also, if you're gonna consume cannabis, you have to know exactly what you do in it. It's always have to be a reason, because if it's holistic, have to be a reason, because you have pain and you want to resolve that, or you have emotional issues and you want to be less anxious and you want to smoke a little bit, or you want to have something and it's gonna make you cut the edge to be able to do your life like normal, not like everybody else. So it's like a lot of education, a lot of information that we need to have for people to understand, and
Yes,
also respect.
yes, and I know people who it just makes them less angry and more enjoyable to be around. I also know people who do it just because they enjoy it,
Exactly.
and it's
When
not for any reason at
right,
all, but
right.
other than enjoyment, like a cigar or a good champagne. So,
But
you know,
when I say for the reason is for also maybe for people that have beliefs and they're a little bit in between that beliefs because they're in a religion or something for a long time. They're telling that's bad, 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 and it's like, oh my God, if I do this, I'm gonna be like a double standard judging mental
I know
thing.
there becomes a conflict mentally because maybe you're super
Yes,
religious, but
right,
you
right,
suffer from back pain. And this is a true
exactly,
story, but I'm not going to name names. Okay. So you're super religious, but you suffer from a terrible back pain, and
right.
you're given a cream that has THC in it, and nothing has worked for you. And this does, it's going to really give you a mental conflict because you're like, well, wait a minute. I'm being taught that this is not good,
Yes.
but it helped me.
What about with
So,
arthritis?
mhm,
You know, a lot of people with arthritis need those kind of creams to be able to go. Because I have arthritis, and sometimes my neck, and sometimes I can stand it, and I have to put a little bit of like a cream, and it gets better. But I am open to also to try everything in life, always to be natural, holistic, to always make you feel better. That's it.
absolutely. Well, this has been one of my favorite episodes for sure.
Me
It
too.
has been a lot of fun. I'm so glad to get to hang out with April because she's just a cool girl,
Very
honestly.
cool. Yes.
And she is in my girl gang. So, if you guys loved April and you want her to come back and you have questions for her, don't hesitate to send us messages. We appreciate those. We appreciate all the messages and all the love that we've been getting lately, even more
Yes.
and more and more. So, that's fantastic. And keep watching. If you're watching on YouTube, set that little notification bell after you hit subscribe. Share with your friends and family, anyone who might enjoy our episodes and our guests from around the world. And bye, sweetie.
Adios, amigo.
See you next week. We will be back again on Wednesday with Taff Wisdom. He will be back, our little brother, to share some enlightened wisdom with everyone. And then we have a cardiologist who's been practicing for over 30 years. He also
Awesome.
has a mean jazz harmonica. Okay. And he's pretty incredible. And he's going to teach us how to be heart healthy and what to do to recover after a heart attack. So,
Awesome.
yeah, that's going to be an incredible show. So, with that, I will say like, share, and spread the word. And as always, I am Kia Baker, the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Women Warrior Stories, and a success coach at London Real Academy. And I am always joined by the sensational, fun loving, totally epic, and sensational.
Gloria Goldberg. Who else?
Who else?
Who else? You know, you have to feel that way. So I can help it. So, like Kia said, I'm Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, PTSD, a natural way, in a holistic way to always make you feel better, and also the host and founder of the bilingual show, The Gloria. And tomorrow is gonna be in Espanol, and we're gonna talk about depression. Somebody's coming out from the that comes out from the closet and told the family that he was gay. So it's a very cool story because he
Yeah,
suffered a lot of anxiety and depression just to be able to come out. And I love that
poor
because I know a
baby.
lot of people isn't the same thing. So tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Miami time, we're gonna talk about that, and it's in Espanol. But if you are like to speak and learn Spanish, you just listen to my show. You don't need to understand too much, and eventually you will starting to understand a lot of stuff if you listen and create the ecosystem, right?
Right. Shout out to Olivier Malanda, who taught us a lot about learning languages, and he
Yes.
is the creator of French You So Much. So if you want to learn French in like 30 days and you have a little knowledge about it already, he can help you. Check it out.
Okay, my dear, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. So thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much. And I guess we'll see you next week, right, Gloria?
Yes, we see you next week, and I'm gonna be in North Carolina, so it's gonna be fun. So see you next week. Bye bye.